my wife and I are foster parents as well, and a success story from that. We took a kid in that was struggling, and the kid was just out and on the street and pretty well lost, which would have been a burden to the government eventually. So right now the kid's on party, graduate this year. Also, and what we've done, my daughter was in school down at University of Southern Mississippi, and the program which we started back in 2005, was kind of somewhat stifled, because I got to the point that after trying to apply for several grants, and I didn't get any grants, I didn't have any financial contributions coming in, and everything was, all the expenses were on me. So I kind of went down for a while, and my daughter moved back to Nashville, and we were sitting having dinner one night, and she said, "Dad, let's talk about vision of hope." I said, okay. I said, what do you want to talk about? She said, what we need to do is we need to come up with 5 core values, what we want to work in. We want to take small increments, and we want to refine our processes to see where we are. And we need a measuring device to see where we need to go. Do we need to change in the middle of the stream of what our approach is, because we need to be, and I guess from that point, what happened to me, it gave me a sense of rejuvenation.
A new vision.
New vision. And then it pushed me right up. So that's kind of where we are now. And I like to be able to show value. And if I'm not mistaken, dealing in the school system, I read one of their missions. And then one of their missions is to produce productive citizens. See, that's what we need to do and instill within our youth. And another thing that we need to look at is our teachers. I found a newfound respect for our teachers in the school system. And somehow we're missing the boat, because we look at teachers and we forget about what their job is. Their job is to teach. Teachers to teach. So now, in the development stages of our kids, to be successful, there are several factors that we're not considering. And then we got to look at parents, and parents' job should be parenting. And what we're looking for is we're looking at a Walmart concept with our teachers, one-stop shopping. We want our teachers to do everything. We want them to teach, we want them to be mentors, we want them to be disciplined, we want them to do everything. But we got to kind of look at shifting the responsibility to where it really lies. So we're going to need support, and the continuous support, ongoing support for everybody to make sure that we reach the ultimate goal. And one thing that we did, my daughter and I, we devised a circular approach. And right in the middle of that circle, we used one key word. It was proactive. So what we want to do is use a proactive approach to stay in front of a situation, as opposed to being reactionary. Most organizations use the reactionary approach, and when you use a reactionary approach, there's an additional cost anytime you use the word regardless whether rework, redo, rehab, that's an additional work. So what we want to do is cut it off and get in front of it before it happens. So that's kind of where we are, and we had some ideas about what we need to do to continue to strive and make Vision of Hope successful. And one thing, we came up with a couple of more key words. To be successful, there's 2 things must occur, and that's education and discipline. People frown on discipline and look at discipline as a corporal punishment act thing, harsh beating, but discipline is a teaching tool to correct an undesired behavior. That's what discipline is.
That's all good. That's very good.
And so these are some of the things that being creative, being out of the box thinkers, and trying to do things a little different. Like I mentioned earlier, if you keep doing the same things, and then your results are going to reflect the input. So you got to change.
You get the same thing if the input is the same thing. And I think that's very good. And I think that one of the most important things now is to find that you can find that there are more people that are coming out and being committed to some of the things that you're talking about now. And I think that your vision of hope is the kind of vision that a large number of organizations need, and a lot of them need to be reworked in a real sense. Some of the organizations that I know that are still advertised as organizations helpful, et cetera, but many of them might have become somewhat stale in terms of their own vision, and I think that they need to be energized or something like, you know, something like that. And I think that what you're talking about is something that can be applied all over this nation, you see. And I think you recognize that. If you can get a good program going here, and there's enough financial assistance now in terms of grants and things that are coming from the federal government now, that if you can get a good program going here in Nashville, Tennessee called the Vision of Hope, it will certainly capture, as you've already indicated, the Chicagos and the LAs and all of those other places that are having the similar kind of problems. I tell you, Mr. DuBose, we've got about 2 minutes before the end of this show for today. Let's give you an opportunity to have these last 2 minutes for some things that you'd like to say that perhaps you've not had an opportunity to speak to.
The one thing I like to say, you know, the reason why we didn't, you know, we came out of the gate in full throttle. We had to kind of backstep due to we were limited as far as financial and as far as our resources. And what we kind of like to do, we kind of like to open it up, and you touched a very dear subject. You got a lot of organizations that's virtually doing the same thing. And what I think these organizations, as well as Vision of Hope, we all need to get together and have some brainstorming sessions and develop a full circle, and everybody, instead of doing the same things, let's specialize in that separate entity that you have the expertise in and close that gap. Because once you got gaps, you leave a opening there for dangerous infiltration, whether it's violence, whether it's crime, or whatever it is. So that's what we need to do, and work collectively as a group. And I would be more than glad to sign and talk to anybody, so we can kind of network, and we can kind of put all these valuable utilizations together. And like I said, one key thing is being able to utilize the resources and network.
And I think the resources are here, and the networking can be here if we all decide that we want to work it the same way. And of course, we're nearing the last 30 seconds of this show. And let me thank you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. And we'll be looking for some additional information in reference to a Vision of Hope. And as you've indicated, that it's not only in Nashville, you hope to carry it all over this nation. And of course, we'll be back with our audience next week at the same time. And we thank you for watching this morning. Thank you and good morning.